sleep time or?
No, it's the same offline.
That's good. Okay. Oop, that is not working. Let's try it again.
I do DSP work. And, direct support professional. And I do it in an all-female group home, but all of my clients, they're independent. So like they can do everything by themselves.
They clothe, they feed, they eat, they do it all.
Yeah.
That's
but like
nice.
my one client, she has Down syndrome. She likes to be baby. Like she literally likes to be baby. She likes to be treated like a little baby. So it's like she'll be like she want waffles, but if she'll just look at you until you cut her waffles up for her. Right? She want to go take a shower, but she won't go take a shower until you go with her. Like she does stuff like that.
Interesting. Well, this I found super interesting because they came and gave us a pitch at our workplace, and it is group mental health. Let me see if I can do. Okay, so here's their programs. Mental health and substance use. They've also got trauma. They've got. So anyone can go here and they're remote online, like intensive outpatient. Hi. So I told them, being that Dr. Hunt might have too many clients here, like she's got what, 800 freshmen, 800 clients a year. I know Dr. Hunt already told them this would be a good possibility. So they do specialty work with people who experience anxiety. They do some with people that do. I want to see if they actually had a video too. I have a feeling that they won't, but let's try it. Oh, I lied. Here we are. Okay.
So when we started working on the initial idea for Charlie Health, virtual intensive treatment as a concept didn't exist. So we were playing around with, how could you make treatment accessible? And I was running at the time virtual alumni groups for people coming out of residential treatment. And I saw how much they enjoyed engaging virtually. And so we started delivering virtual group therapy in an intensive outpatient program. And I think that we were able over time to build trust with people. We knew that the peer connection piece would be so important, that the reason that people would show up for 11 hours a week of therapy would be if they got along with the people in the group, if they had that connection, if they felt seen, if they felt heard.
What's that? Yeah. So it's intensive outpatient. Now I was going to see what you guys think about it because it's interesting to me. They have 500,000 graduates, so apparently that is a big deal. Well, they even have their little LinkedIn. You ever go on LinkedIn and then let's see here. So it started mostly in like the remote rural areas. LCSW, see how these social workers can take off, and then this guy is not a social worker, but I'm curious. So what do you all think? These are groups online. I was like, wow, okay. I don't like virtual, honestly. Like that's kind of my opinion. I know that it's necessary for, say, somebody who's in the middle of nowhere and like they have to get 100 miles to a group. If they just click on a link, they have the chance to see all these folks. So here, I'll let it finish up.
To experience in a residential treatment center. We knew that if we could deliver that virtually, that would draw people into the therapeutic experience. And what that looked like was ensuring that every single person had a peer in their group that they could connect with, but that also the professionals in our community felt supported by our local team. So even though we were delivering care virtually, we hired boots on the ground teammates so that they could get to know the community, so they could get to know the providers in the community, the librarian, the school counselor, the social worker at the local hospital. They formed relationships with these people so that we could really ensure that the local community trusted Charlie Health. The initial vision, too, was just giving treatment to people that needed it who were in crisis. Over time, it has been, how do we ensure that it's the best treatment, that we are delivering world-class treatment to every single individual and delivering the best possible outcomes. We saw early on that in order for us to be successful at building this world without suicide, we would have to be exceptional at other conditions as well, like substance use disorder, like eating disorders. There are different things that people struggling with substance use need versus people who are just struggling with mental health. And we want to employ the best evidence-based practices to ensure that we are helping people get well and stay well. We will continue to respond to the demand, respond to the people who come into our program and say, I'm struggling with my mental health and my eating disorder, and ensure that that person is met with open arms, met with evidence-based care for their primary diagnosis as well as their secondary diagnosis, and that we continue to offer this.
Does she look like she's reading off of something? I feel like she is. I know, right? Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, does she? Because she doesn't have an LCSW or any license. I'm like, she's reading something, isn't she?
Standard of high acuity care to every single person who needs it.
So they pitched us. They fed at my private practice. They came in. They said anybody who would need intensive outpatient, this is a possibility. They do serve people for substance use disorders, mental health. They even do children's, teens, and adults. They take Medicaid. I found that one rather unique because that's kind of hard to get onto billing wise. But if you do, it's like you're accessing printed money. It's like you're able to access the printed money from the oh, there's your insurances. Okay. They do take most major insurances, and then the Medicaid is the big thing. I was impressed. So maybe they only start at age 8, because how well do you think kids can watch an online 11-hour? I don't think they can. So that's probably why they wait until after the age of reason, which is age 7. That was a weird noise. I don't know what that was. Is that something on LinkedIn? Uh-oh. Oh, Cincinnati State. Interesting. So today I had the 5 stages of the group. So they always rhyme, which is interesting to some people. And then, has anybody here ever seen the movie Remember the Titans? Yeah. Have you seen this clip? That, I guess if you've seen the movie, you've seen it all. So forming, storming, norming, and adjourning are like the 5 stages of the group. Every social work person has taught this all over every college, every 800 university. It's kind of their traditional way to teach about it. So when forming, I'll actually play it and see, because we did this as an audio when we taught this class at UC. So
welcome to our first lecture on group stages. In this lecture, we will be looking at the first stage of group development, forming, as part of our group skills in substance abuse counseling course. As we look over the objectives for the week, I want to remind you to review the chapters for the week prior to viewing the lecture, as it is intended to supplement your reading. By the end of the week, you should be able to identify the factors necessary for forming a group and describe the tasks of a beginning group. As your book points out, there are many ways to categorize and describe the stages that functional groups go through. And despite the differences in labels, most agree that groups go through between 4 and 5 stages in the life of a group. Back in the 1970s, 2 researchers named Tuckman and Jensen identified 5 stages of group development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjoining. This still stands as a very common way for discussing group development. You may refer to the table in your book on page 84 if you want to see a comparison of a few different ways that authors have conceptualized the stages and transitions of group development. Forming a group is a process that takes several steps, and although some of the steps may be completed at the same time, none may be skipped if the group is going to form properly and thrive.
Hello.
First, every group relies on a clear and thoughtful rationale for existence. Groups that attempt to form without a strong rationale are likely to be unproductive and potentially harmful for their members. Leaders must also decide on the theoretical framework from which to work, and the theoretical format should be appropriate for the purposes of the group. The successful formation of a group also relies on practical planning, like the meeting time and place, and leaders should consider potential obstacles in planning this group. Considering how will members get to the meeting, if the group's intended for a certain population, say school-aged children or elderly people, transportation may be a specific issue to address.
So this is a big part of your final paper when you
Publicized group is another consideration that is addressed during the
When you
forming
create
stage, and it's
your
important to
group-
keep in mind.
I'll just kick it out. All of these things you consider, like how you're going to make it. Say it's a mental health group for college students that are at Central State campus. Deciding your rationale, like what format are you going to use? Are you going to use, again, like the thing I showed to start out the class, like all online, like these people are? Or do you want it in person because you think you'll get a better turnout? There's a whole section on publicizing the group. Like, how are you going to advertise it? How are you going to like get the word out there? How are you going to like, put flyers up? We do a lot outside the hallway there. How do you screen them? How do you pre-train them? And then how do you select them? So when we did a trauma group at Lighthouse, we did make it so that we wanted the therapist to recommend the participant for the group, but we also wanted them to be like ready themselves. Some people aren't ready to talk about trauma, so you work with that. So these are the first initial ways that they do that. Let me see if when I start this, if it'll kick me back to where we were.
Forming a group is a process that takes several steps, and although some of the steps may be completed at the same time, none may be skipped if the group is going to form properly and thrive. First, every group relies on a clear and thoughtful rationale for existence. Groups that attempt to form without a strong rationale are likely to be unproductive and potentially harmful for their members. Leaders must also decide on the theoretical framework from which to work, and the theoretical format should be appropriate for the purposes of the group. The successful formation of a group also relies on practical planning, like the meeting time and place, and leaders should consider potential obstacles in planning this group. Considering how will members get to the meeting, if the group's intended for a certain population, say school-aged children or elderly people, transportation may be a specific issue to address. Publicized group is another consideration that is addressed during the forming stage, and it's important to keep in mind that how a group is announced influences both the ways that it will be received by potential members and also the kind of people who will join. Take some time to consider whether word of mouth, personal contact, and/or written announcements will best suit your intended audience, and that will contribute to the intentionality of your group formation. Screening and pre-training are processes that involve meeting potential members either individually or in a group format to determine who should join a group and who should not, by identifying needs, expectations, and commitment, challenging myths and conceptions, and conveying information to those potential members. This is an opportunity not only for group leaders to select members, but also for potential members to make sure that the group is something they're truly interested in. Once members have been selected, pre-training serve as almost an orientation session to help members get acclimated. The selecting of group members and group leaders can be seen as an outcome of the screening and pre-training, with leaders selecting group members and group members selecting to be part of the group with those leaders. Once we have a group, there are a number of tasks that must be accomplished during the first session, including dealing with apprehension, reviewing goals and contracts, specifying rules, setting limits, promoting positive interchange among members, and resolving potential group problems. A certain level of anxiety is considered a natural part of beginning groups, and group leaders can address anxiety directly in the group or work to clarify any issues that seem to arise as a result of member anxiety. Reviewing goals and contracts within the group is an opportunity to restate the purpose of the group during the first in and allow members to share more about their own personal goals. Although some groups may begin with an established set of group rules, the first session is a great time to review these rules and also allow members to make contributions to the rules. Stating rules in positive terms rather than negative terms will help set the tone of the group. For instance, rather than having a rule against violence, the group could state that members will respect the physical and psychological safety of others at all times. Limits help members understand boundaries in the group, and limits can be addressed during the initial session, but must also be addressed when members test them in the group setting, either by breaking rules or norms. Group leaders can promote positive interactions among group members by being enthusiastic, by drawing out members, holding focus on interesting topics, or shifting the focus when topics are irrelevant or interesting to only a few members, by cutting off any hostile or negative interactions as well. There are a number of problems that can occur during the formation of a group and afterward, some of which involve people and some of which involve process. Subgroups are one such example of a problem that can come up in group process where cliques of members band together and may become troublesome. Leaders must remain tuned in to interaction patterns and promote interchange among members, potentially by providing more direction for interaction through exercises or through activities. Your textbook authors also addresses with group member behavior, and the caution that I want to echo as you consider difficult member roles during the first session is that the tendency to label members based on their behavior can be incredibly distracting and disrupt the success of a group. Rather than labeling members based on potentially difficult behavior, it can be helpful instead to see that behavior as a symptom of an issue that's developed in the group and approach it with an open mind. For instance, silent members may be feeling hostile or attempting to withdraw from the group, but they may also be shy, reflective, or simply slow to assert themselves. Instead of seeing a silent member as difficult, it can be helpful to ask a simple open-ended question like, what do you think about what the other members have been saying? Pages 102 to 104 provide strategies for the beginning stage of a group, and I would encourage you to review these pages carefully as they're quite helpful. In
Here's the
summary,
last slide.
forming is characterized by initial caution associated with any new experience, attempting to avoid being rejected by others. During this first stage of group development, group members try to be superficial, center conversation around historical or future events that do not have a direct impact on the group. Tasks during this beginning stage include dealing with apprehension, reviewing member goals and contracts, specifying rules, setting limits, and promoting positive interchange. This serves to conclude our lecture on forming, and I will see you next week.
So that's a PowerPoint we made to teach groups. And then getting back to Remember the Titans. So only one of you have seen it before, the movie Remember the Titans. Yeah, you might remember it when I pop it up. Let me see here, because that was something that we've seen and used often to teach about groups. So you all, either this month or next, will get a chance to lead your own group. You will sit up here and be in charge of running the mental health group of this class. The book I gave you, you can pick any week you want from that. It could be week 1, through week 10. And let me make sure spring. Hopefully observing the group in the next couple of weeks will be helpful to you guys. Has anybody gotten to observe your group yet? No. I guess I should have made it done sooner for you. So here is that assignment. And so observing the mental health group, it can be anything online. And then when you lead it, they have within the assignment the link you can click on. And that is the relationship with peers curriculum. So whoever goes first will obviously be considered for more points. And then here is the Remember the Titans. Oh, I think I have to turn off the YouTube piece because sometimes they consider it. Something in the noise of it is maybe that's what I can do. Can I just mute it? So I know that's an old movie. I just found a good illustration of how your group can run over the full 10 or 12 weeks you do it. That's about how long your internship is when you will go for your senior year. It's the forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. They do it that way so that it rhymes. And anybody, so in terms of running a group, has anybody ever run anything before? Summer camp even, or like youth camp, something. I'm trying to think of stuff. Like when I was in high school, I had to run a special needs camp in the summertime. So it was a lot for me to learn. You had to make lesson plans. You had to have something ready to go. Or been a part of a team, like played on any sports teams. Which ones?
I did volleyball.
Okay. You do it here too?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I cheered and I played volleyball for 1 year.
It does remind me of like playing on those in both grade school and high school, like the first round, getting to know each other, figuring people out, and then like clicking towards the end. Like if you do vibe and if you run a mental health group well, it kind of can finish up that way. I do like how when you click on this assignment and you click on this book here, let me see if it just downloads it. It is helpful. It might not open. I might have to open it through a different route. If we didn't pay our Adobe bill, it's going to shut it down right away. Does Central stop paying their bills? Ooh, it works. Nope, I lied. It doesn't work. So, anybody thought of which week you would want to run by chance? When you run your group? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You can catch whatever you need on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you can sign it too. You can sign on there. Yes. Yep. Just all right, you too. So here's kind of what it looks like. Open recent. I gotta open it with the preview instead of Adobe. We didn't pay our bill. It's like our water bill. When are they going to shut off our water? I hope they don't. So yeah, here's the weeks if you guys wanted a preview. Like anybody see one that sticks out to them that they want to run?
No, I wish I could see.
Oh, you can't see them? If I make it bigger, does that help? Like, I guess I only really need, week 1, connecting with each other. Week 2, labels. How we label people, exploring new perspectives. It tells you start to finish how to run that group. 3 is expressing myself. Accepting all different parts of myself is week 4. Cultivating respect is week 5.
So we all got to do a different week.
Yes, you could if you both really like giving voice to feelings. There is part 1 and part 2.
It don't matter what order we go in, so we pick one that isn't.
Correct. It does go in a proper order. You're right, but I'm just having you lead 1 week, so you can just pop it on. It's gone well in the past, so people have certainly done that. So yeah, any week. And if you have one you just want to run that out of the interwebs, that's okay too.
I think I want to do week 4.
All right. Anybody else?
What's week 1 again?
Week 1 is called Connecting with Each Other. This is the one we kind of went over in class last week, where they set down the ground rules, how to don't talk all at the same time, maybe have a talking stick.
So when we run the group, it's gonna be class, and then we go based off of the week.
Ask it again. I'm sorry.
So when we run the groups for the assignment, it's gonna be in class using students and based off of the weeks. So
It'll be all of us right here. So you're going to sit up here or wherever, and then just lead us in the group.
I feel like week one is pretty easy. I'll do week
Yeah, okay. And I think
Can you say we don't have to go in order?
we don't have to go in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind leading the group from my seat. It's just when I have to go up there.
You don't want to go first, you're saying?
No, I don't mind going first. It's just
Oh,
like,
okay.
when I have to go present something in front of the class, it's just like, it's already stop.
Right.
If I'm sitting in my seat how I am right now, I'll be fine.
That's the whole reason we're doing it, because it's anxiety provoking. I mean, I still remember teaching classes a few times and I wasn't too excited about it, but I did know I've done all this stuff before in social work, so I can talk about it. Like maybe I'm not as great on theories or theoretical design on whatever, but I've practiced in the field. I've led groups. I've done home visits. I've done addictions counseling. I've done trauma groups, other different therapies. I'm now in hospice, so I kind of dig deep back onto my experience. The hardest part was getting that first experience. So like, where you guys are right now. So like just putting ourselves out there, as we're so used to in school. I'm jealous of you guys because I remember when the internet came out and laptops, and we could sit in class and just like do whatever, and I was so used to just sitting back and watching college like a movie. You just sit back, and then in social work, we actually have to flip that and then perform. Like we're in charge of whatever it is. If it's assessing somebody or doing a home visit or finding different interventions or groups for them. So did I put I didn't put a due date on that one. Did I have a due date on the other one? Is that next week it's due, or in 2 weeks probably?
The first assignment?
Mm-hmm.
On the 22nd.
Okay. So with that being said, you could lead a group as early as like the 23rd or 24th. So on the first one, I am just having you guys say, pick a date, and then have that one pick a date and like a week you want to lead. And then the actual assignment is leading the group. So we'll have that one, leading a mental health group in class. And so that one is the bore. It's not leap year this year, is it?
No.
So we only have 4 of every week, but we can do, you can go as early as the last week in February or first week in March. When is spring break? Is that coming up soon?
March 13th.
Okay.
April. Girl, I don't know.
Maybe Easter. Is Easter in April this year? Does anybody
Yeah, I
know?
believe it is.
So maybe that's what it is. So say you go, what am I doing? I'm sending something. So, So April 4th, that's probably why. So some people have their Easter on like Good Friday, Holy Thursday. Where do they do it? Maundy Thursday. When is Fat Tuesday? Is that coming up soon? You guys heard of Fat Tuesday?
What?
You ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know what it is, though. I never really did no research into it.
So 40 days before Easter, that's when like Jesus was tempted in the desert. So like a lot of people celebrate that time by fasting in the desert. So Fat Tuesday is the day before those 40 days start. So they say like take all your sugar and your bread and your fat and cook it together, and you eat a bunch of cakes or donuts like the king cake, or here it is right here, the 17th. It's on February 17th, Shrove Tuesday, or Mardi Gras. You've heard of Mardi Gras, right? So that's what it's celebrated after. And then you got 40 days until Easter, but they don't count Sundays. Because if you do a fast, they let you break your fast every Sunday. So you would have like those 4 days, 5, 10, 15. And then, we said um, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, that's how they calculate Easter. It's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox, which means the first day of spring. So that means the earliest Easter can be is this day right here. Does it say the equinox? And the latest Easter can be is on April 22nd, right about there. Oh, Earth Day. That's actually Earth Day too. So, I got your sign up in Observe Your Group in the next week or two.
Do you drop the sign up in next week?
The sign up one.
Yeah, you said it open next week?
So pick which group you're leading by, say, the day that observing the group is due, which is really the next, I guess, 3 weeks. So it does seem laid back. It will be excited to have some of you do that sooner rather than later so we can talk about it. Like, what did you see in the Al-Anon meeting or AA meeting? And then what all you're doing with that. So, one other thing you learn how to do when you lead groups is writing notes. So how many of you guys are in the forensic class? Did anybody take it? Have you taken it before? I don't think it's required. It's just an elective. So, and I read the Homer training assessment last week, and this is one of the things that you will see. Okay, yeah, the treatment plan. So a lot of times we also write a group treatment plan, and you'll see what that looks like with the diagnosis. So when I read how Homer had the diagnosis of uncomplicated bereavement, it was pretty clear his mom had died, so he was struggling with the bereavement of loss from mom, and then child affected by parental relationship distress. His main diagnosis was this persistent depressive disorder. They call it dysthymia, early onset, and then how we work through those. So we always look at our client's strengths, even when you lead a group. It could be the child's strengths or their emotional needs. So the strengths could be their family. It could be talents or interests, maybe school or a sport that they play. It can be spiritual or religious. Interpersonal or the optimism, they're just optimistic. They might have a good community life. So you always want to list all of these strengths. Like when you're doing treatment plans for your clients in social work, you want strengths to be the number one thing that you focus on. Educational could be one. They might do good in school. Relation permanency. They might have good permanent relationships, parents, siblings, or grandparents or friends. Maybe vocational, they do well at work. Do you guys still have to get a form to like work at an age of 14 or 15? Like, do you have to have your parents sign off on that?
Yeah.
When did that start?
I know my brother had to sign when he was.
Did he?
I didn't have to.
I know. I feel like I didn't, but you also will, obviously, people are coming to group or counseling for a reason. So they have an area on this that's the childhood, behavioral, or emotional needs. It could be psychosis, whether that's a drug-induced psychosis or just, they're paranoid about something. It could be conduct. They're getting busted at school all the time or got kicked out of school. Maybe impulsivity, hyperactivity, adjusting to trauma. Depression is one, anger and control, or control of their anger. Anxiety can certainly be one. Substance use, maybe they're oppositional, like ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, and maybe they have an eating disturbance. So when you develop goals, this is kind of where they would look like. A goal statement, with adults, you can make it for a whole year. So 365 days. Usually with kids, they want to update it every 3 months or every 6 months, because so much changes in a kid's life. They have school end, or maybe they have a break, or maybe they don't have the same like consistency that adults do. So in this one, the goal, if you remember the Homer story last week, it says Homer will develop healthy cognitive patterns and beliefs about self and beliefs about the world that lead to the alleviation and helping to prevent the relapse of depression symptoms. And you always take the client's own words. So the goal in his words are, I'm always depressed. I don't want to be depressed anymore. So that usually you put it in quotes because the client said that, like you're working on a goal with them. Things that you'll use from child strengths or client strengths could be the family or optimism. And here we checked spiritual and religious, and then even child involvement. And then the last piece is you have it to be measurable. So when you're working with a client, you want measurable objectives. And it says client will verbalize in a session at least one example of unresolved grief that may be contributing to his depression. Also, you could have usually have 3 or 4 measurable objectives. Client will learn how to identify negative thinking patterns and replace them with at least 3 positive thoughts or strategies to increase his mood. Then you have client will learn to identify, challenge, and replace negative self-talk that contributes to depression with a new self-talk that facilitates more constructive reactions, evidenced by the client and guardian report and therapist observation. So that's usually how, as the therapist, you see him talking better about himself. Last one is client will take medication as prescribed. So in this one, we didn't recommend we did recommend the group. So he was recommended for boys council, and the staff responsible to report back was the Lighthouse Group's facilitator. More often than not, you have 2 goals. So his second goal, he might even have 3. Homer will reduce frequency and intensity of anger outbursts. So maybe it's, I want to control my anger. In his own words, you put that in quotes again. What strengths will you use for him? Family or spiritual or religious or the child involvement. And then the measurable outcomes again, you want 3 or 4. So he'll identify 3 anger triggers in the session. He'll recognize and verbalize in the session how anger, control, problems negatively impact himself and others. Maybe he flies off the handle and flips the table over at lunch, so nobody wants to sit with him. Last one is Homer will identify 3 to 5 appropriate coping skills and anger management techniques to cope with negative feelings. So you always have like the service, how often, and then who's doing it. So here you got assessment one time. Olivia Pope, LISWS, is doing that one. Yeah, we use names so people I should know this and I forget who is Olivia Pope. Okay. Or they use funny names like Missy Fix-It, LISWS, or I'm a Helper, QMHS. It is kind of funny. And then, there was not a third goal in this one, so that one was left blank. But a lot of times, you see things you can help him with. Here is education. He's in Springfield local school district. And his goal is to advance to the 11th grade. So a lot of times it could be just like graduate successfully, become self-supporting, or if they're unemployed, identify vocational interests and opportunities. Physical health, maintain positive health. Medication, it might just be like medication management or compliance. So that is kind of the way a treatment plan would look. That's the one we used at Lighthouse, and it included groups and goals. Anybody have questions about this or the stuff from last week, like Gamblers Anonymous? Yeah.
So like for the assignment, is there a format that you want us to follow?
It's at the very end of the syllabus.
Okay.
So if you go into, what is this, 4202?
Yeah. And then the sitting in on the, group therapy session, that's a separate assignment? Or is it-
Correct. That's the first one due
That's the first one that's due,
in the next few weeks. Um,
and you can just find that like online.
Yeah, he gave us that whole list that you see when you open his class.
all the links.
For sure.
So here, and this is the thing you write up for the first assignment. It's the very last few pages of the syllabus. It is 11 of 16 on the syllabus. So the group assessment, you'll name it, the purpose, if it's Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, or if you go to one of Dr. Hunt's group, it's maybe a horticulture therapy group. Person who runs it, say it's Dr. Hunt, and she has a doctorate in counseling, I think her social work license actually, kind of like what I have. And then answer the following questions with it. So that is the first one. Second one, you'll see more on, so the format, when you lead the group, it's literally in these 6 pages from 13 to 19. If you're doing week 1, it's page 13 to page 19. It tells you exactly how to do it. If you want to do your own, that's great. But some people like that this gives you start to finish, what to do, how to do it, how to lead that group. So most are 6 to 10 pages at the most. That one's 6, that one's 6, that one's 10. Ooh, that one's only 4. Week 4 is only 4 if you want a really short one. Week 5 is only 4. Week 6 is 6 pages. Week 7 is 8. That's 8. Damn, the last one's like 8. Is week 10 really 12 pages until the icebreaker? So week 10 might be the longest. Wholeness and completion. So I think if you want to list, it's under announcements. How do we get to announcements again? Anybody remember? I always have to go to the main page. Yeah, there it is. So links to find. Oh, how long has it not been shown?
Yeah, that's
Like-
I was like, I thought you were gonna like put it back up.
No, I had no idea. Okay. Did you even see the treatment plan then? Yes.
I believe you though. I don't know about the look myself.
Fuck. That's terrible. So you didn't even see this one. So this is, the last 2 pages of your syllabus. That's the thing to fill out. You can just pop it onto another piece of paper. Where's that treatment plan? That's hilarious. Here's the treatment plan. So all the stuff with Homer, Missy Fix-It, Olivia Pope, I'm a helper. Did it show when I was telling you child strengths and child? Then when did it stop? Did it show the goals? Homer reduce frequency of anger outbursts, or did it pop off then? Okay. All right. That's hilarious. I wonder why, and then in announcements, here's the links to find online Al-Anon or A group. There's Gamblers Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Heroin Anonymous. Some of them don't work, but the majority of them did. I think marijuana didn't work. No, it still works. And then it'll tell you if it's an open meeting. You don't want to go to closed because that means you identify as a recovering alcoholic. And it's closed to only people that identify as a recovering alcoholic. Open meetings, anyone can go to, students, or let's try another one. Like Crystal Meth Anonymous. I feel like theirs doesn't work because they were tweaking on the website. It does work. Holy crap. So I feel like AA is the best at telling you if it's an open or a closed meeting. There's their online meetings. And if you click on it, it'll say either open meeting. You want open because it's open to everybody. And they'll say that right out of the gate. If you click in the meeting, they're like, this is a closed meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. They only want people that identify as a recovering alcoholic to go to it. Here's Al-Anon. Sometimes they have ways to prevent, if you're trying to get on and fuck around like a Zoom bomber, they will make it a passcode to get in or some way. They don't want you to like get in there. And during the pandemic, people would get on and like pop pornography on the screen or something to just like disrupt the group like randomly. I'd say the most grotesque one I heard about is somebody on like Christmas Day, and they did some really nasty video that just like took over everybody's screen, and it was pretty sick. So, those are all, yeah, that's the whole list of places you could go to. Parents of addicted loved ones, Partnership to End Addiction, Recovery Dharma, the Phoenix. So that is all that I have. I know we're 12 minutes early, but any other thoughts, ideas, questions? I wonder if I turned off. So sometimes when I show the, remember the Titans, I guess it's